If you've been worried and wondered about Amazon's new pricing structure and the royalty decrease from 60 to 50%, then this video is for you. We will look at how and if these changes will apply to children's books, how they might affect international markets, and why Amazon is implementing these changes in the first place. So let's jump right in. Hi there, I'm Eevi, an award-winning children's author and ghostwriter over on eevijones.com and the creator of Children's Book University. I create videos specifically for children's authors, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. I got so many emails and questions regarding Amazon's royalty change. Now, whether you learned about these changes via email or via the informational banner right above your KDP dashboard, please try to first take a deep breath with me here and know that most children's books won't be affected. So let's see what these changes mean and how and if they apply to us children's authors. The banner on KDP's dashboard currently reads, changes to royalty rates for print books and color printing costs starting June 10, 2025. Starting June 10, 2025, we are changing the royalty rate for books priced below certain list prices, for example, less than $9.99 US, from 60% to 50%. As a result, you'll have books earning zero royalties after this change. To avoid this, you can update the list price for your affected print books separately. We are reducing color printing costs for paperbacks in some marketplaces. So let's see what this decrease means. First of all, this royalty change applies to paperbacks only. Ebooks are not affected. And for us children's authors, hardcovers shouldn't be affected either. And that's because if we are currently using a print-on-demand platform for our hardcovers, we are probably not using KDP, right? Because KDP's minimum required page count for hardcovers is, at the making of this video, still 76 pages, and our picture books usually have a much lower page count. So for our print-on-demand hardcovers, we are most likely using other platforms such as Ingram Spark, which has a minimum required page count of 18 pages for its hardcovers. If you have any questions regarding hardcovers and the Ingram Spark platform, I went ahead and shared my separate video on this in the description below. Second, this royalty change applies to our paperbacks only if it's currently priced below $9.99. So as long as our paperback is currently priced at or above this threshold of $9.99, our royalty of 60% will remain the same and nothing changes. And the reason I previously mentioned that many of us children's authors may not be affected is because, unlike most other genres, pricing our children's books above those $9.99 is very common. In fact, there aren't many independently published picture books priced below that. If we did, however, price our picture book below that, then our royalty percentage will automatically decrease from 60% to 50% come June 10. Now, unlike what some may want us to believe, this doesn't necessarily mean that we won't make any royalties. This right here, for example, are all the numbers for my goals and tracker journal that I created for us children's authors. The printing costs of this journal are $2.96. According to KDP's calculator, those printing costs won't change, no matter what we are setting as our selling price, whether that's above or below their $9.99 threshold. That's good news, because that means that the pricing of our author copies shouldn't change either, because the cost of our author copies are the printing costs, right? However, what will increase is the minimum price we can list our books for. So for my goals and tracking journal, that minimum price I can charge increased from $4.93 to $5.91. Now, if I were to leave my current selling price at $7.99 over on Amazon, because it is below KDP's new threshold of $9.99, my royalty percentage will automatically decrease from 60% to 50%. So my earned royalties would now decrease from my previously realized $1.84 per sold copy to $1.04 after June 10th. I'm still earning royalties here, just not nearly as much. Now, I don't have to do so in order to still earn royalties here, but if I were to increase my selling price to at least $9.99, my royalty percentage would automatically be bumped back up to the previous 60%, and I would earn a royalty of $3.04 per sold copy. Now, let's look at a picture book example here as well. These right here are the numbers for my book, The Neverlasting No, an 8.5 by 8.5 inch 30 34-page picture book. The printing costs of this paperback are $4.20. Again, according to KDP's calculator, those printing costs won't change no matter what we are setting as our selling price, whether that's above or below their $9.99 threshold. So my author copies will still be $4.20. However, the minimum price I can list this book for has increased from $7 to $8.40. If I were to set my selling price to $8.99 over on Amazon, because that is below KDP's new threshold of $9.99, my royalty percentage will again automatically decrease from 60% to 50%. So my earned royalties would now decrease from my previously realized $1.19 per sold copy to 30 cents after June 10th. If I were to increase my selling price to at least $9.99, my royalty percentage would again be automatically bumped back up to the previous 60%, and I would earn a royalty of $1.79 per sold copy. But as I mentioned earlier, the more realistic selling price for most independently published children's book paperbacks is more around $12.99, which would leave us with a royalty of $3.59 per sold copy at a royalty rate of 60%. Now, how do we know whether or not our books are affected by this upcoming change? Here, the easiest way is to simply click on the Your Affected Print Books hyperlink in that banner on our KDP dashboard. That will automatically generate and download an Excel sheet that shows our impacted book titles along with their ISBNs and the affected international markets, because depending on our current pricing, not all markets may be hit. So when I click that link on my dashboard, this right here was the generated list of my affected books. This makes it just a little easier to now go onto KDP and make any royalty updates, especially if we have multiple books, because we don't have to individually check each of our books to see if they are affected. If we only have one or two books, we can also simply directly click on the three dots next to our paperback on our bookshelf and select the Edit Print Book Pricing option in the drop-down window. If our pricing table shows an after June 10, 2025 option, then our current pricing will be affected and our royalty percentage will decrease from 60 to 50% for this particular book. In that case, we will have to make a decision as to whether or not we want to adjust our pricing in order to be able to keep the 60% for our royalties. If, however, there is no extra after June 10, 2025 row, then KDP's updates won't apply to this particular book. So if you haven't yet, I encourage you to log into KDP and take a look and play around with your own numbers, because they heavily depend on things like the length of our book as well as our selected trim size. Now, I also received a few international market specific questions. Question 1 was, when I change my sales price on KDP, will it automatically adjust the sales prices in the other marketplaces? Here, the answer depends. It depends on how we initially set up our book. As long as we have previously let Amazon automatically generate the prices in the other international marketplaces based on what we entered in our own marketplace, any price adjustments we are making now in our own marketplace should automatically adjust the prices in the other markets again as well. Here, our pricing table within KDP usually states something like, all marketplaces are based on this price. So if I made changes to my primary marketplace, in my case the US, it will automatically change the other prices as well. However, if we previously manually adjusted and changed the pricing in any of the international markets individually during our previous setup of our book, it usually will no longer do those adjustments in those other markets automatically, meaning we now have to apply international price changes manually. And question number 2 was, does the new pricing threshold of $9.99 already include taxes, or would they still have to be added to our international pricing? Unlike the US, where sales taxes aren't applied until we check out, many other countries already include their sales taxes in all their displayed sales prices. So for example, if I have set my sales price over on the German Amazon platform to €8.77, then the actual price displayed on my book's sales page over on Amazon.de is €9.24, because the 7% value added tax has already been added to the displayed price on the sales page. Now don't worry, KDP does all these calculations automatically for us. And to make it even more transparent, our pricing table displays the pricing in its own separate column, titled List Price plus Estimated VAT, or Value Added Tax. And just as before, unless our table shows a separate after June 10, 2025 row, KDP's updates won't apply to this particular book. Now, you may be wondering, why in the world is KDP implementing these changes in the first place? Here it's important to know that Amazon has been absolutely flooded with tons of thousands of what is referred to as low-content books. Low-content books are books like coloring books, workbooks, journals, puzzle books, and diaries. They all have minimal or no text on their interior pages and are often designed to be filled in by the buyers. And because they are relatively easy to make, lots of creators have been flooding the market with these often AI-generated books. So one of the reasons why KDP is decreasing the royalties for paperbacks that are priced below $99 is to discourage or at least slow down the influx of these types of books. Because on the one hand, people are less likely to create these types of books if they know their royalties will be lower. And at the same time, buyers are less likely to purchase low-content books that are priced at or above $9.99. Whether or not this will actually deter others remains to be seen, but to me it feels like that is Amazon's attempt to slow down AI-generated content, which so many within the author community have been asking and hoping for. Now, I already mentioned that I received so many disappointed and upset emails regarding Amazon's changes. I would like to offer a different perspective here that hopefully helps us reframe this disappointment, so we can be reminded of the benefits of the service that allows us for absolutely zero upfront costs to share our passion, our loves, and our ideas with little readers by allowing us to publish our book, making it accessible on a worldwide platform, and having it delivered across the globe, all whilst earning a percentage of every sale. Looking at the actual numbers of my book, The Neverlasting No, our income and KDP's income for each book sale might look something like this. Let's say we have a selling price of $12.99. So we deduct the printing cost of $4.20 that is based on my book's number of pages, the trim size, and various other print options. And we deduct the 60% royalties that go to me, the author, leaving KDP with $5.20. But that's not what KDP would take home, right? Because we still have to fulfill the buyer's order, package it, and ship it. So we have KDP's $5.20 minus $4.63 for the shipping, and let's say 10 cents for the packaging, leaving KDP with a net revenue of 47 cents. Now I realize that Amazon does not pay $4.63 for each of its packages to be shipped out and delivered, but that's what it would cost us if we were to ship our books ourselves. And that's already the reduced media mail option and doesn't include any additional overhead costs, such as shipping labels, the costs to store inventory, the cost to have bulk inventory shipped to my house, the ink for my printer for the shipping labels, or the gas to drive to the post office. So in the end, how much do we value convenience and the fact that we don't have to worry about the printing, the tracking of inventory, the fulfillment, and the shipment of our books? Besides the creation of our book, there are absolutely no upfront costs or fees. We don't pay a dime until we are actually selling a copy of our book. And even then, our fees are simply deducted from the price the buyer already paid. So any transactions we are experiencing are those from Amazon to us. Do I wish our royalties were higher? Yes, of course. At the same time, I can't believe our luck that Amazon, despite its incredibly low yield, continues to offer the service, providing us with this incredible and free way to create and publish our beautiful children's book. So in short, if our book is already priced at $9.99 or above, our royalty percentage is 60% and our royalties will remain the same. If we sell under $9.99, our royalty percentage decreases to 50%, so we can either increase our current selling price to bring our royalty percentage back up to 60%, or we leave as is and simply realize lower royalties. Either way, the cost of our author copies will remain the same. I so hope you found this video helpful. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't yet. It really encourages me to keep making free videos for you just like this one. Here's to our empowerment to share our books far and wide. Bye!